Hello and welcome to the 28th episode of A Woman Robbed, a bonus series from And the Runner-Up Is, where we talk about actresses who may have come close to earning Oscar nominations but were ultimately overlooked, omitted, or for one reason or another just didn't have the votes to make it into the final lineup, discussing why they may have deserved to get in and why they ultimately didn't. Each episode has its own theme, presented as a double feature, and this week we're going to be covering two performances from musicals that were not nominated for Oscars. And boy, do we have a double feature for you today. My guest today is always a joy to have on the show. So excited he's back. His writing and podcasting can be found at Next Best Picture and Awards Watch. He joined me for the 1955 episode of my Best Actor series, and also for another episode of A Woman Robbed on Myrna Loy and Judy Garland. Welcome back to the show, Dan Bayer.
Hello, Kevin. I am so happy to be here today.
I am so happy that you have agreed to this truly inspired, we'll say, double feature.
Inspired,
so
unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything.
Yes. But they both are technically musicals, so here we are. But yeah, let's just jump in here. I presented to my patrons here at And the Runner-Up Is a list of 15 performances in musicals that did not earn Oscar nominations. And just to go over all the options here, we had Amy Adams in Enchanted, Fantasia Barrino in The Color Purple, Björk in Dancer in the Dark, Nikki Blonsky from the movie Hairspray, Judy Garland in Meet Me in St. Louis, Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady, Shirley MacLaine in Sweet Charity, Madonna in Evita, Liza Minnelli in New York, New York, Dolly Parton in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
Oh my God.
Debbie Reynolds in Singin' in the Rain, Rosalind Russell in Gypsy, Barbara Streisand in Yentl, Miyoshi Umeki in Flower Drum Song, and Rachel Zegler in West Side Story.
You know, there are some fascinating stories to be told with some of those performances.
Yes, indeed. That is why they made my little short list. But the top vote getters were Amy Adams and Björk. So I was quite surprised to see.
What a pairing, truly.
Yes. Very surprised. Also, just how much of a commanding lead Björk had from the start. Just given it's definitely the most downbeat film of that bunch I just read.
Yeah.
But, I know that it is one of the more famous snubs, so I'm not too surprised. And then with Amy Adams, she just managed to edge out Debbie Reynolds for the happier slot of the two. But, like I said, not a lot of common ground with these movies other than the fact that they both are having people break into song and dance, but maybe there's a thread or two here we can connect if we're really feeling inspired. But
I mean, if nothing else, they're a perfect study in contrasts.
There we go. Yes. Well, before we break down both of these performances, would love to just know from you, like, what your relationship with musicals is. I know you're obviously big into theater, and I imagine you have maybe talked about this on other podcasts probably, but just what do you like about musicals, especially musicals with these kind of, strong women performances at the center?
Oh my gosh. Musicals are kind of what made me who I am. Like, I really would not be who I am today without having seen Singing in the Rain at 9 years old. I am Dancing Dan, and I am Dancing Dan because I saw Singing in the Rain with my mom. I'm pretty sure it was on like PBS, and we were watching it. And after Donald O'Connor did Make 'Em Laugh, I turned around, pointed to the TV, and said, "I want to do that."
Wow.
And I meant like the whole thing. Like, I wanted to be in movies. But she's like, well, I better sign him up for tap dance lessons. And I mean, that was a good backup. And that sort of got me into performing in theater, and all of that led me to where I am today. But it was really what that wasn't the thing that like sparked my love of classic movies specifically, but it definitely pushed me because Singing in the Rain is so much about movie history. It definitely pushed me to watch other older movies and learn more about film history. So that's how like musicals got me into that. And I still enjoy them because to me, they're kind of like the pinnacle of movie art. Every single department is has to be on fire when you're making a movie musical, because if any one thing feels out of place, the whole balance of the thing just doesn't work. And there are unfortunately numerous movie musicals where you can see that happen, but the ones
Hmm.
that do are just, to me, there's nothing else like a good movie musical. There's something truly genuinely special about that. I mean, like we talked about it
Yeah.
last time we spoke about The Wizard of Oz. There's
Mm-hmm.
just something magical about musicals and how they tap into emotions that no other movie genre, for me anyway, can match.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And I feel like I've actually grown in my appreciation of musicals personally since I was a kid. And I remember just at the very least not minding them as much as other people would make such a big deal about hating them and being like, well, people don't break into song and dance in real life. And it's just
Oh
like,
my God, it's a
okay,
movie.
well, this is the movies. We don't want realism. We want magic. Like, but
We literally
yeah.
come to this place for magic.
Exactly. So there you go. But I definitely remember Chicago actually being a real turning point for me. Like that
Mm.
really cemented my love of musicals, and I would kind of further appreciate those old Hollywood musicals like Singing in the Rain, like West Side Story from there. But I feel like I would definitely try to hide that a little bit as a teenage boy trying to fit in or whatever,
That
But,
makes sense.
you know, thankfully I got out of that mode
Good.
and have come to really love musicals for their earnestness and the vibrancy and all the craft that you talked about, the songs, the choreography. Just there's
Mm.
just something so endearing. And part of why I'm doing musicals this month is because of the release of Wicked for Good. As we are recording this, it just came out and proving very popular. And having
Mhm.
watched it, I may not have personally loved it, but it certainly has its flaws, as the stage
Yes.
show does, to be
Yes.
fair. But I also am at the same time kind of still rooting for its success despite
Mm.
those flaws, because it shows that there's still an appetite for this genre,
Mhm.
especially with women at the center, too. And
Yeah.
so, yeah. Also worth noting, both of these films that we're going to talk about do have a bit of a connection to Wicked in some way because Idina Menzel, of course, is in Enchanted. We also see a poster at one point of Wicked in the film. But then
Mhm.
also, like, very tangentially, Joel Grey is in Dancer in the
I
Dark,
was gonna say
who, who would go on to play the wizard.
unintentional wicked double feature.
Yes, we didn't know it yet, but he would soon play the wizard. So there you go. That's something, right?
There you go.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to talk about these two, and we're going to start going chronologically, as we always do.
Mm.
Start with the more difficult of the two, perhaps, but
Mm.
much to discuss with this one, both
Yeah.
on film and I guess behind the scenes too, if we want to dig into that too.
Oh God.
But yes. All right, let's get to it. Bjork in Dancer in the Dark.
I was never alone. This isn't the last song. There's no violin. The choir is so quiet and no one takes a spin. This is the next to last.
So, yes, this is Bjork's second ever feature film, having not properly acted in anything other than as herself in 10 years. So, to introduce her here, Bjork was born in Reykjavik, Iceland. She studied music from an early age and started performing as early as 11, eventually gaining recognition as the lead singer of the Sugar Cubes. And then after that group called it quits in 1992, she ventured into solo work and gained further recognition for such songs as Army of Me, It's Oh So Quiet, Hyper Ballad, Big Time Sensuality, all bangers. And she had released 3 albums in the 90s to great acclaim, debut, post, and homogenic, and developed a reputation as a highly original artist with a quirky voice. And she was much more popular in Europe than the US, I would say, where she was often kind of just regarded as like a weirdo, but she definitely had a strong fan base too. And Lars von Trier asked her to compose the score for his new film Dancer in the Dark. She was very intrigued by this, and then when she read the script, she is quoted as saying, "The idea of putting all of me into this other person and trying to imagine what her interior would sound like was really exciting and quite liberating." So Lars convinced her not only to write the score, but to star in it as well. And she grew so attached to the story of Selma that she took that risk. And once she got into production, she fully immersed herself in the role to an almost alarming degree. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk later about some of the things she went through and has since talked about going through on that set with Lars. But suffice to say for now, she really poured all of herself into this role and was very protective of her work and of Selma. So to get into a description here, Dancer in the Dark is a musical drama about a woman named Selma, played by Björk. She's a Czech immigrant living in rural Washington, working at a factory as she tries to provide for her 12-year-old son. Her best friend is Kathy, played by Catherine Deneuve, a co-worker at the factory. She is also being courted by a local man named Jeff, Peter Stormare, and she's renting the home owned by a couple, Bill and Linda. So anyway, Selma is also starring in a local production of The Sound of Music, and all of these different elements of her life are complicated because she is concealing a secret, which is that she has a genetic disorder that will soon render her blind, and her condition is getting worse and worse every day. She's trying to save up money to get her son surgery to prevent him from going blind too. So one day, this all comes to a head when she realizes her landlord is stealing money she had stashed away, and it leads to a violent confrontation that sets her down a rather tragic path. But luckily, despite some of the grim realities of her life, she often escapes into music as a lover of musicals. Okay, Dan, let's talk about it. Dancer in the Dark. Tell me your relationship, I guess, first with Björk as an artist and as a very infrequent actress, I suppose, and her big performance here.
I was anticipating this movie in 2000 with great anticipation because I was such a fan of her music. She has always been one of those musicians who really just always struck me as a capital A artist. Like that is who I picture. That is what I picture like an artist would be, like completely uncompromising, weird as anything you could imagine, and just like singing with complete abandon over songs that were sometimes felt more like poetry than pop songs. And I was always, anytime I heard something that I was like, I don't know what this is, but like it's kind of cool and I think I like it, 9 times out of 10 it was Björk.
Like, I don't know what she's saying, but girl, I am living.
Exactly. Exactly that, the original of that. And when this came out and it won the Palme d'Or and Best Actress prizes at Cannes, that immediately put it on my radar as something that like I would have to see at some point. And it took me a few years before I watched it because I was still in high school at the time. But when I had heard so much about this movie and how it incorporated the songs into the overall tapestry of the film, and how depressing and bleak and just awful to watch it was. And all those things are true. And look, it is also true that Lars von Trier is a fucking dickwad, but he also kind of has America pegged dead to rights. in many ways.
Yeah.
I think a lot about or I guess it's an aphorism. I don't know who said it, but like it foreign directors make the real great art about America. And I feel like it, especially the movies that he makes that take place in America, especially this one and Dogville, which is not, I think, technically in America, or it is, but it sort of takes place in the stage, the sound stage. But like
Right.
those two movies in particular to me are just so like they just get underneath America's skin in a way that I don't think it's especially in 2000 I don't think a lot of filmmakers were really doing. And rewatching it just now for this, I was so struck, and I don't think I put it together at the time by just how much this is about the immigrant experience that I remember the first time I'm watching it going like, why won't she just tell her kid what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
why won't she tell anybody? Like, why is she not taking the money to free herself? She can find another way to raise money for her kid. Like, there's so many things.
Hmm.
And then watching it now, I sort of like, no, like she literally can't like get this is something that I think we've seen in immigrant narratives time and time again that they really do it for their children and for their children's children. They themselves do not matter. This is about setting up better future for the generations after. And it kind of made everything click for me in a way that it hadn't the last time I watched it, which is some years ago. But what has always clicked for me is the cast,
Hmm.
not just Bjork, but like everyone else. I mean, like you said, all those names of people that are in this cast. And then on top of that, you have Kara Seymour and David Morse and Udo Kier. Oh my God.
It'll
And
care. I know.
Stellan Skarsgård for five
Yes.
seconds. like it and Siobhan Fallon, who is
Oh
one
my
such an
God.
underrated character actress. I love her every time I see her in anything, and she's fantastic here.
Hmm.
But above it all is Bjork. And I remember at the time hearing a quote from Catherine Deneuve talking about her saying that she cannot really act, she can only just be. And I have always felt this way about her performance. It's one of maybe like three or four performances that I've seen where I just don't see the actor at all. I just see this character. They have completely sublimated their body. I believe everything that is happening to them is really happening to them. I don't see any sort of filter between the actor and character. They're just one. And for her to do that in her first like real big acting job is kind of insane. And yeah, what may have happened on set to get that to happen is reprehensible in every possible way. But what is on the screen is just frankly kind of mind blowing. I don't know how you can watch the last scene of this film and it goes on for a long time, but I don't know how you can watch it without your heart in your throat the whole time just because of how real and raw everything that she's giving on that screen is. You can instantly see why she won Best Actress at Cannes. And
Hmm.
like I was like, why she sort of brought the film along with her to get the Palme d'Or and all the acclaim that it did. She is, it's one of the greatest film performances by an actress I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. Big words, but I can't disagree necessarily. At least of the 21st century, she is
Yeah.
just like right at the top.
Mhm.
I mean, well, for me, like I definitely grew up with a lot of fascination with Bjork. I wouldn't go so far as to say I was like a fan, but she
Mhm.
was and still is so one of a kind that I had a real appreciation for her. And I don't know if at first I really understood like
I don't think I did either.
the music part of it. Like her voice
Yeah.
is very distinct. Like when I was first discovering that sort of like Icelandic warble she has wasn't really for me, but I gradually did develop a taste for her over time. Randomly after she had released like that collaboration she did with Timbaland,
Oh
like that
yeah.
Volta album, like the song
Volta.
Earth Intruders was a bop.
Oh my god, Earth Intruders is such a bop.
So
think
I
that-
like, yeah.
I was gonna say the album that like really turned me into like a full-on fan of Björk was the a cappella album that she did, which I was kind of blown away by. I had liked her music before and really respected her, but that turned me into a full-on fan.
Yeah. It was really for me that era in like the late 2000s. I just went down a rabbit hole with her, and just that lyrical sort of otherworldly quality she had, and her instrumentation is just like truly like decades ahead of her time. Like no one else was doing it like Björk.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen Dancer in the Dark until my adulthood. You know, I had always heard about how depressing it was, the bleakness of it, and weirdly, like this is gonna sound so dark, but I remember the first thing I saw of the movie was the ending.
Oh God.
On YouTube.
Oh
I don't
no.
know what convinced me to watch it other than just like, oh my God, this incredible ending.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, like just, I guess I had like a morbid curiosity, but like it really stuck with me, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But then I forgot about it for a while, and eventually when I sat down to watch it in full, I was just fully bowled over. Like, it is a pretty hopeless film through a lot of that second half, but Björk, I think, just manages to fully capture your attention whenever she's on screen, whatever she's doing. Like, she's really kind of like, this sounds bad given the context of what happened, but like she is kind of an ideal lead for a Lars von Trier film at that time because she was still so new to acting, and because she did things her own way and had a very emotive style, but also felt grounded at the same time. And that's really all I got all of that on this rewatch too, is just she poured her entire being into this performance. And I fully understand why she felt like, I cannot do this again.
Yeah.
Like, she only done what, like 2 or 3 other things since Dancer in
Yeah,
the
she
Dark
did
in 25
Drawing
years.
Restraint 9, which is really just an art installation. And then she did the part in The Northman with Robert Eggers, which I love that he cast her in that part. Oh,
I know.
Beautiful.
Yes. I mean, it is just exhausting to watch everything she goes through in this film.
Yeah.
But there's also such a grace and a beauty in this performance that I find really, really moving. Just, again, that lyrical quality and the way she kind of floats through whenever she's really giving herself into the music, the way she looks at her son with such care and warmth. And yeah, then the way she realizes her fate toward the end and is starting to fight back. Like, there is so much is being asked of her. And like you said, never once do I not believe her as this character. She actually, I think, manages to provide an interesting contrast here with what Lars's kind of vision is, which is very, very bleak and very miserablest ultimately. But she is showing Selma as this very positive kind of spirit, and yes, naive, but also there's a kind of beauty in how she chooses to live her life. And, you know, the whole motif of her not liking the ending of a musical because that just means it ends, like the idea of like leaving before it ends so that you can just linger on it and it can go on forever and ever. Just that purity and her strength, it is just very poignant for me to watch this whole journey that she goes on here. And so I think, honestly, she really prevents it from becoming like truly misery porn.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this preview of A Woman Robbed, a bonus series from And the Runner-Up Is. If you liked what you heard and want to hear more, please go to patreon.com/andtherunnerup.is and become a patron. Only $5 a month will get you access to bonus episodes, exclusive polls, and early access to regular episodes. Thank you so much for your consideration.